Alright guys, just wanted to show you QCS on another project. This is an awesome table, really cool piece. I'm going to be applying the QCS now, just spraying it on, letting it work. Going to see how it does on some of these. I guess something had stuck to it. Maybe there were some placemats or who knows, something stuck to that. But we're going to just coat the whole table and let it do its thing, and I'll show you the results. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes. I just applied this. I applied the QCS to this table, and it is already starting to react. What I really like is, for example, like in this area, if you're doing a restoration, sometimes you want to try to preserve as much as possible. You want to be able to sort of finesse a piece in versus, with a chemical, sometimes, if you get stripper in here, it just dissolves the finish, or acetone, it just cuts right through, and you have no wiggle room. So, for example, if you were trying to preserve in here, what's nice is that I just take some QCS on a wet rag and I just apply it on the edge, and even if you sprayed it and it went in there, if you wipe it really quickly and you don't just let it sit for as long as everything else, you can just wipe it right off, and it's not going to dissolve the finish, and it's actually going to kind of clean the finish on the inside. So I spray what I can, and then I sort of spot treat with a pad or a brush or something like that, and then wipe off drips or anything that I don't want to be getting touched by QCS. So now I'm going to start scrubbing this top, and you can just see the grime and the buildup. It's just really, it's just age. It's what happens, and again, some damage. So I'm going to just take, I have some QCS in here. I'm going to take some on a little steel wool, and I'm going to start to scrub. And you'll immediately see, it's nice because this gives you a really good dramatic change. But all that grime and all that buildup is going to come off really nicely, and I can control it. I can go around, wash it, wipe it off as it drips under. So like, for example, under here, under these sides, I don't really want to do under there. So I'm just going to make sure that I do this edge nice and preserve the bottom. There's some markings I want to preserve on the bottom. So I'm just going to just really carefully wash this piece, get it down to the bare wood where I want it to be, and preserve what I don't want to strip and start over with. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up scrubbing and show you the end product. Alright guys, just want to show you a little bit more in process. So I've been scrubbing the surface. Labels have come off pretty much everywhere. I'm just letting this one soak a little bit more. What's really nice, I just want to point this out, when you're dealing with restoration, so for example, this is all dripping down here. If this was stripper or acetone or anything like that, it would be sort of making potentially some really ugly marks underneath. QCS won't do that. You can just kind of go along, follow yourself, and just sort of clean it. And it's not going to leave nasty hard edges where it burned through the finish in some places and not in others. Also in here, I cleaned this area, this compartment with some of it, but then I dried it off so that it wouldn't keep getting, dissolved. So I'm going to try to preserve the interior finish. This preserves the color. So you have like, again, if you dive into this project and you just hit this top with a grinder or a sander, number one, it's a veneer, so you could cause damage. Number two, you've got this rounded edge. Now again, you can spend the time and feather that in, but if you hit this spot and now you have to feather it in because it all meets, you're going to have this really light area. Now you're going to have to make all of this really light, then down here, and now this to this is going to look different. You're just going to create variations that are unnecessary. So with QCS, you can just scrub all the grime and old finish off. It takes a little longer, but it's more it's more of a restoration thinking, where you're trying to preserve the piece more how it is. So I'm trying to clean this piece really good, get it down to bare wood, but leave all that color in the wood. So when I go to recoat it, it's going to look just like a mint original versus something that's been obviously refinished with a sander or something that, makes it obvious. All right, guys, so this is the first round of QCS. You could see how much cleaner everything is if you go back and look at the first clip when we started. Inside here, again, very nice and clean. Didn't disturb that finish, really just cleaned it up. Now there's some residue on it, and you can tell when you take just a white towel like this, just a white towel, and you wipe the surface, there's still some residue. So what I'm going to do now is just go over it with a brand new piece of 4.0 steel wool, some fresh QCS, just clean up all the surfaces, loosen up any leftover grime, and then just wipe it off with a damp towel, water damp, and then that's it. This piece is ready to just dry, air dry, and from there it can be lightly sanded. You can attack you know, different things like these rings and things, you know, that are in the top, little nicks and dings. But you can, you know, at this point you could leave it looking very vintage and just finish it off or go at it more. All right guys, here it is, all finished, all stripped well with QCS. You can see, I'm just going to show you down the wood here, that there is a nice clean surface now. Again, just some little blemishes, some water rings, some little nicks and dings. But what's really nice about this is that if you want to preserve, I mean, when you're dealing with restoration, you're really thinking about the longevity of a piece. You're thinking about the full life, not just, you know, buying it and quickly selling it or doing anything like that. You're really thinking about the longevity of the piece for future owners, future generations. So one of the things you can consider is, if you don't mind there being some character from days gone by, some little stains and things, you can actually just let this dry, do a really light scuff sand with like a 220 grit paper, but very light, maybe even 320, just to sort of lower the grain a little bit and make it nice and smooth, and just recoat it without really removing any of the material as far as the veneer and wood is concerned. What's also great is that you can see here underneath, we were able to really preserve the bottom, and we wanted to do that. I wanted to do that just so that, you know, avoiding getting into refinishing and restoring the whole bottom. Same with inside the cubby. Oh, sorry, it's my finger. The inside the cubby just needs a cleaning now, and maybe a little light coat of oil when I do the whole table. But all in all, this is just going to make this job a lot easier. I've said this before, I'll say it again, QCS is not a silver bullet for every finish you're going to come up against, but on Scandinavian furniture and teak furniture, things like this, it's really hits a home run, because you can wash that old finish off, get all the grime, all the old finish off, and really be left with a clean surface to just recoat and preserve, versus going at it and really being more aggressive with the piece than you need to. So there you go, QCS once again.